I get a few questions about modifying my Vitpillen 701 or how I modified my Vitpillen 701 intake to modify it to accommodate the cone filter. And so I just wanted to share how I did it. It might be a little bit different depending on different setups out there, but I've seen this a couple times, and hopefully this will help you design your filter, right? Everyone has their own style. Sometimes they want the filter to stick out straight. Sometimes they want the filter size to be bigger or smaller. I'm just here to talk to you about exactly what I did, and some of these are measurements that I've taken. So if I were you, take a look at these, but double check my measurements here, because I this was about 2 years ago that I did this, and if I made any modifications, during my when I customize what size cone and everything, the sizes might differ. So just make sure to double check and think about exactly what you're looking for in your setup, because it may be different, right? So when you have the stock air box, this is the snorkel that's gonna be connected to it. The throttle body is on this side of the tube, and then this is the air horn that sticks into the air box, right? This is free. The air box comes around this first kind of smaller piping, and this is made out of rubber. And then as you can see here, there's a gap here in this flange. It looks like a flange. It's all one piece, but this flange here was to connect to the air box piping that comes out to connect to this tube. So when you remove your stock air box, you're actually going to remove the piping, or actually the whole air box that's clamped down into this, and that's coming off. You're going to be left with this intake horn, the flange, and then the rest of the tube, which is plastic. It's rubber, then plastic. And what I did was, because this is rubber, I didn't want to clamp K&N, because that's another option. Clamp your K&N directly to the rubber, but because it's rubber, I don't think it was going to be a good connection there. And if I brought my K&N all the way to the flange and then clamped it down to the flange, I think the K&N would be hitting other things here. So it needs the little gap. So what I did was I got a lightweight, steel, or you can use aluminum pipe that fit the flange here, so I can clamp down to the aluminum. And now I have a sturdy point for a cone filter to fit, right? So check your measurements again. This tubing, this short piece of tubing here, should be a little bit smaller than the air horn, but because since the air horn is rubber, you could kind of stuff it through into the pipe and then stick it out. So just make sure that this is open and not scrunched up in here. Make sure that you leave it enough gap so that it goes into the K&N filter or whatever filter you're using. And obviously, when you clamp the filter onto the steel piping, just make sure that you got the right size to clamp into it. Some K&Ns are a lot larger, so you can buy a K&N with many different size piping, size, intake sizes, and things like that. So just make sure that you find the right size that fits your preferences in terms of size. But just remember that this is roughly going to be about 2.5 to 2 3/4 inches here to allow that air horn to come through. So that's my setup. Hopefully that helps. Thank you.